Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, your host, speaking at you from Sunday, March 23rd, 2025 in the space and time continuum. I want to quickly clean something up from last week. On the show, I talked about the fact that the Saturday night right before it, so this is a week ago, Donald Trump signed into effect the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Only been enacted 3 times. One time during World War I, one time during World War II. The other time was during the War of 1812. War times. It can only go into effect in a wartime. Trump was asked, how can you do this when we're not in a wartime? And he said, we are in a wartime. He said that at one point. Now he's saying he didn't sign it, although his signature is on it. And then the White House comes out with the excuse of, well, he means he didn't sign it in 1798. Oh, really? Really? How old is he? So the Trump administration is in a huge mess, and this has led to a showdown with the judicial system. Something a lot of people were predicting it would come to, and we're pretty much reaching fever pitch constitutional crisis at this point. Now, what I said wrong wasn't necessarily wrong because the news said that there was a judge ordered the planes that Trump filled with some people and sent overseas, a judge ordered them to be turned around and come back. And the news at the time was that they did turn around and come back. But shortly after that, that was during the recording of this show last week. Shortly after that, the news came out that the planes did not get turned around. Marco Rubio and the Donald Trump administration apparently defied the judge's order. Now you may have heard of Judge James Boasberg. He's the judge who made the order. We didn't know his name at this time last week. All of this stuff has happened just this last week, along a bunch of other stuff I'm going to talk about. But Boasberg, I'm not going to go too much into it because you've probably heard a lot of that news. But he has been having hearing after hearing. He's had at least 3, I believe, hearings with the Trump administration of lawyers, and they're defying him over and over again. And he's getting pretty pissed off. And people who know him say he's got a long fuse, but that fuse is pretty much burned out. And we're talking about bringing up charges of contempt of court on the Trump administration. What will happen? Will lawyers be held in custody? Trump administration lawyers. Well, this week is going to be a big showdown, and it's very serious, constitutional crisis kind of thing. Also, Trump called for Judge Boasberg to be impeached. I think he said that on Monday, maybe. And then John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, put out a statement. That alone never happens. He put out a statement saying, you can't impeach a judge if you don't like his ruling. So it looks like the Supreme Court is coming down on the side of democracy, maybe. I thought that would happen. A lot of people did, that he can't keep the Supreme Court. In order for the Supreme Court to keep judging in his favor, they would extinct themselves, because ultimately he wants to be completely done with the whole judicial system, including the Supreme Court. He doesn't want law. He already doesn't follow law. He's a mobster. Mobsters don't like law. So that all is going on. Another thing that I forgot to mention last week is that numbers came out, and you know, DOJ, the Department of government efficiency that Elon Musk is supposedly the head of. Oh, no, he's not, because we don't want him to come in and testify as the head of Doge. He's not the head of Doge. Okay, who is? No, he is. Okay, is he? Anyway. Elon Musk is being, by the way, told to not go on TV anymore. The GOP is saying, hey, man, he keeps saying stuff about Social Security. We can't handle it. Can you please tell him to shut the up? He's an idiot. But so much more efficient, right? Well, the Trump administration was in charge in February 2025, and the Biden administration was in charge February 2024. The amount spent by the United States government in February 2025 was $36 billion more than in February 2024. So I guess Elon's a genius at what he does, right? We're going to do some positive things, I promise, because there are some really positive things going on. People are kind of saying, Todd, how can you say this? This is getting ridiculous. Well, you'll see what I'm talking about. And I think you're starting to feel it because a lot of other people are starting to feel this too. The general vibe is a lot better this week than it was last week. And it was a little better last week than it was the week before. But this week especially, I think we're starting to see the sun come out, Funny because it was right pretty much at the turn of the equinox, right? The sun is coming out more and more. Days are getting longer in the northern hemisphere. Talking about Trump just taking people off the streets, we learned that one guy was a professional soccer player in Venezuela. He fled Venezuela because he was being persecuted by their authoritarian dictatorship. He came to the United States. He has a tattoo of a logo of his favorite soccer team. So, of course, the Trump administration thinks, well, he's in a gang. So they put him in jail, and then they sent him on a plane, and now he's in jail in El Salvador, possibly being tortured. All right? This is a Canadian actress who for years, if not a couple decades, has had a visa to work in the United States. She was coming over the border from Mexico, coming back into the United States, and here's what happened to her. This is her.
I can't even process what just happened because there was no heads up. Next thing you know, I'm taken and for 2 weeks haven't been told anything, moved in different cells, sleeping on cement, sleeping in different jail cells. Like it just, nothing makes sense to me, and I'm still trying to process the entire situation.
Imagine that. That's Jasmine Mooney. She's an actress. So this is what happens, we've always heard, like in Russia, but now it's happening in the United States by the Trump administration. But people are starting to turn on the Trump administration. And this is some of the good news that we're talking about. We'll go back and forth to good and bad because I'm already seeing that I'm not following my notes again, and then everything gets chaotic here on the show. I mean, chaos in the world. I guess it's appropriate, right? I don't know what you've heard because for some reason the media is not reporting on this. But this is AOC.
But I'm here to remind you that we are not powerless in this moment. People are starting to put the pieces together. And ironically, the most divisive forces in our country are actually bringing more of us together than before. And that's important. And I want to let you all know, in every single stop that Bernie and I have had in the last couple of days, we were in Nevada a couple of days ago. We were in Greeley, Colorado, way out there in Colorado. We went to Denver. Every single stop has completely blown out all attendance projections. 3,200 people in Las Vegas. Out in Greeley, we went to a Republican congressman's district, Gabe Evans, who you know, he just got elected. Usually your first 3 months on the job, you're on your best behavior. This guy hasn't held a town hall once. So we said, you know what, let's go out there, we'll hold our own town hall. We thought, wildest dreams out there in Greeley, we thought maybe 2,000 people would show up. 11,000 people came out to Greeley. Then we went to Denver. And now in Denver, Colorado, again, our wildest dream, we were like, maybe we can get what if we got 20,000 people out in Denver? Last night, 34,000 people in Denver showed up.
Okay, that's what's happening. And they've had more since she spoke at that particular rally. People are really getting pissed, and a lot of Republicans are getting pissed. Now, there are many, many clips as well of people at these town hall meetings that some Republicans actually are still attending. And Republicans are pissed. Republicans are showing up there, and they are pissed at Republicans. Now, what we need to be doing is having Republican elected officials be more afraid of us than they are of Donald Trump. Now, that's going to be difficult because it sounds like they're getting threats to their families. And this is why a lot of them are voting for things that they don't believe should be voted for. However, there are some promising votes as well going on. I just saw that there were 26 Republicans voted against codifying DOJ cuts to foreign aid. So that's a good thing. Of course, other Republicans are saying, hey, these guys need to be audited. Okay. Now, what she's saying there is that we have power, right? We have power. And she said, ironically, the bad powers are bringing us together. Last week, the theme kind of was, is Donald Trump saving the world from fascism? Well, that's the whole world. But here in the United States, these rallies that AOC and Bernie are having, they're being scheduled really quick, not very far into the future, and they're having 34,000 people, 23,000 people, 11,000 people when they were expecting to maybe get 2,000 in a very small town out in the middle of nowhere in Colorado, Greeley. And they're surprised. Everyone is surprised. At the same time now, Tim Walz has been going out doing the same thing. Hey, if a Republican won't show up, I will. He just was in Rochester, Minnesota yesterday, I think, or maybe the night before. But he's been going around a few days ago or last weekend maybe. He was in Iowa. And here's how good he is at this. I'm going to play you this clip of a retired teacher asking a question. She's kind of going into a long explanation, and then he comes back.
We're both retired school teachers.
Yes.
And in the 70s, when I was teaching school, a lot of the kids, or some of our kids, didn't have good food for breakfast. So as teachers, the teachers were bringing in packages, as any teacher in here would know, of Cheerios or something and some fruit. Every kid on that playground I knew was getting a good meal, and I always felt so secure about that. Now I'm terrified because those little stinkers don't learn anything if they're hungry.
How did we ever get into the position that we thought charging for lunch? We didn't charge for electricity. We didn't charge for the chairs. That's on property tax. Why did we ever get it and differentiate that, divide some of the kids? Because I can't imagine what it was like I do know imagine because it was my friends and I saw it as a teacher. Kids who had to be ashamed that their account ran out and they had to turn around. So I said in Minnesota, in part of that, we're just doing everything, free breakfast and lunch for every kid, no problem. Like, you don't charge. And message, here's the thing. They said it right. Guess what happened? Our absentee rates went down and our achievement scores went up. So in the long run, so let's say you're just a cold, grinchy person and you don't care if they eat or not. We have to sell it to them that it actually saves us money, just like early childhood. For every tax dollar we invest in early childhood, we get $12 back. So appeal to the economics. Appeal to the economics.
Tim Walz has always been good at this. We've known this in Minnesota, and I've met him, had meetings with him over different matters at the Minnesota State Capitol. He's really great at all this stuff. And everyone says we should have had Tim Walz out there more during the campaign. I agree. But my point is the Democrats are starting to find their backbone. They're starting to get off of their asses. They're starting to put good people out there. And things are getting different. Things are feeling different. I think you can feel it too. And talking to people that I know, some people who listen to this show, generally, they're starting to feel better. Now, of course, there are some horrific things going on. And like we said before, they want us to be scared. Let's not give them our fear.
I'm not going to give them my fear.
Like AOC says. Let's not give it to them. That's what they want. Let's no longer be afraid. Let's be pissed. And let's get out there. My friend Doug and his wife are going to an event out east, but they're going, there's over 515 or something of this event called Hands Off on April 5th. Rallies all over the country. People are talking about it a lot. People I know are planning already on attending. Like Kamala says, we need to turn out. We're all in this together. Are we ready to fight for this? Because when we fight, we win. All you got to do is show up. All you got to do is be able to have AOC say, we were expecting in our wildest dreams 20,000 people, thinking that was going to be kind of a pipe dream, and 34,000 people came out. That only happens when you and I go out, be a part of it. Each one of us. That's our role right now. You matter. All right, we're going to take a break and come back on a satellite view.
And I don't know about you, Arizona, but I want to live in an America that guarantees health care to every person. I want to live in an America that has a living wage for every person. I want to live in America where you have free speech to express yourself and not be afraid of getting put on a list or deported.
This is why people think she's nuts, right? I mean, that's crazy. Who would go along with those things? She is so liberal. Who would ever agree to those things being a part of America? Everybody? Of course, that's AOC again, or still one of the best messengers right now that we have in the Democratic Party, and she's been out a lot this week in front of a lot of people. Why has she always been called radical? This is how she talks. I've agreed with every word that's come out of her mouth since she was introduced to the world, 6 or 8 years ago? These are her principles. What's wrong about that? What's radical about that? Here's another thing. If Bernie's Social Security bill was enacted in 2021, Musk would have paid $2.9 billion more in taxes. Social Security would have been solvent for 75 years. Benefits would have increased by $2,400, and 93% of Americans would have paid zero more in taxes. The only one entitled is Elon Musk. That's a meme that is out on Blue Sky right now. Bernie Sanders, he's crazy. He's so far left, he's not right for this country. AOC, she's nuts. She's not. Did you hear that, what she said? She's not right for this country. Elon Musk is right for this country. He's our hero. He's a genius. Here's another thing. Okay, so here's something I'll play you. We're going back and forth here, right? This is something that has happened under Elon Musk's big genius, Doge, as well.
A promising advance in the fight against Alzheimer's could be threatened by Doge cuts and funding delays. Researchers have developed an experimental drug that appears to delay symptoms in some people who are genetically destined to get the disease in their 40s or 50s. It is a first of its kind study, but early results have been encouraging. However, the NIH grant that researchers hoped would fund further research to save lives has been delayed, an example of how spending cuts and confusion in Washington are affecting critical scientific research.
All right. We don't want to study to get rid of Alzheimer's. I don't have Alzheimer's, so I don't care about study for Alzheimer's. I don't want any money being spent on. Thanks, Elon. You know, government is good for these kind of things. There are things government is good for. The science involved in so much of what we have going on is paid for by the government. Any kind of new technology is first used in the military and then is introduced to us. When we went to NASA, Corningware was accidentally invented by NASA in the 60s. A lot of things came into being because of us trying to get to the moon in NASA, you know. So that's why you don't just go in and defund everything. If you want to get rid of the fraud, then get rid of the tax cuts for the billionaires. That's the fraud, you idiot. One thing is that you can definitely see that even now the Republican Party is turning against Elon Musk. He's just too much of an idiot. He's making a fool out of himself and everybody. And they have told people with the Trump administration, please don't have him go on TV anymore. You know, he went on the Joe Rogan show and said, Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all times. Really? How? How is that? Well, people pay in and then they don't get paid until a lot later. Oh, really? That's pretty much what he did on the Joe Rogan show. And now Republicans are saying, we can't have him doing this anymore. Can you please? You know, the people who are most happy about Elon Musk, well, not really, the people on Saturday Night Live. You know, Michael Myers doing the Elon Musk on Saturday Night Live is great, but it's not funny because it's true and it's real, you know? Also things that are bad, the Rebecca Kelly Slaughter, she's of the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. She was fired illegally. The president can't fire people on the FTC. They can't fire them. So she's going on TV and being vocal about it, pointing it out. The federal funding stopping, that was turned around. Firing, there's 6,000 FBI agents were fired because they worked on the January 6th investigation. The Trump administration has been ordered to reinstate all of those people. So if things get turned around, now it is a mess and it is chaotic and it is scaring the crap out of a lot of people. And it's ruining lives of a lot of people. And that's horrible. But it's getting so bad that even the bad people are seeing, okay, we can't do this. This is not sustainable. Those places that AOC and Bernie and Tim Walz are going, those are in red zones. Some of them, at least, are in red zones. They're going to places where Republicans are the representatives and won't meet their constituents. How do you get thousands of people to show up in a red zone? Well, Elon Musk would say they're being paid by somebody. They're just actors. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you can get tens of thousands of actors. It's because there are a lot of Republicans showing up at those. There are 3 seats in the House of Representatives, the United States House of Representatives, that are having special elections beginning on April 1st and going on just within, I don't know, kind of quickly. 3 elections. All 3 are MAGA-held seats right now. Can we turn those? If we turn all 3, Hakeem Jeffries becomes Speaker of the House. That could be a reality in a couple of weeks. The Democrats could be the majority in the House in just a couple to a few weeks. How much have you heard about that on the news? Have you heard of, you remember the group Anonymous? We heard a lot about them like 10 years ago or 8 years ago or something. Well, they successfully shut down Twitter and Snapchat. They shut down Twitter at least twice last week. And then they put out a statement saying, we shut down Twitter, we shut down Snapchat, and we're going to keep doing it until you start telling the truth. We have proof that Elon Musk changed the tabulators, changed what was happening on the vote tabulators on election night. Now, you've heard me mention that a while ago. I wanted to mention it even before that. The difference, and everybody's saying, well, how can we do this? Because Trump was saying the election was stolen in 2020, and he looked like a fool. Okay, here's the difference. Trump kept saying that. Trump kept saying it was rigged. It was rigged by Trump and the Russians, and they were trying to do this same thing. They didn't have Elon Musk working with them, and Biden won because we overwhelmingly showed up. You know when else we overwhelmingly showed up? In 2024. But they had Elon Musk. They went way too far in the rigging of the election this time. Okay, so those are the 2 different circumstances. But then what Trump did was brought lawsuits that were lies, saying, hey, this happened. No, it didn't. I mean, some of it was crazy. How many lawsuits were there? Was it 63 or something? Maybe more. They lost all of the lawsuits. What's been going on since election night here is investigations. Trump didn't do any investigations. He said he did, but he didn't. There are good people doing investigations, and they've been working hard at it now for 3 months. It was November, December, January, February, 4 months. Go to Election Truth Alliance. I implore you. Go to electiontruthalliance.com. Just go into Google and put in Election Truth Alliance. Peruse the website. Just scroll down a little bit. There are a couple videos there. You can start there. They have a lot more videos on YouTube. They're on Blue Sky. Find them. See what they're finding. They talk about malware being installed. They get technical, but they do a good job of making it so that you understand it. So go to Election Truth Alliance and look into it. People are starting to talk about it now. It's starting to be talked about now. Over time, along with what's happening with the Trump administration, just like AOC said, bringing us all together. They're bringing us together with people who voted for Trump. Because the people who voted for Trump realized that was a stupid mistake on my part. We got to stop this. We got to stop him. We got to stop his administration. He did not win this election. Nor did J.D. Vance. So it's not just about pulling Trump out through impeachment or a heart attack or a stroke and then having J.D. Vance step in. No. This is about something that's never happened in this country yet. It's happened in other countries. The way we talk about it is we investigated and figured out what happened. Trump and the Republicans can't say that about any of the times that they cheated, and there were a lot for decades. It's not a conspiracy theory if it's true. And that's the difference between 2020 and 2024. We can start talking about this. We're going to start talking about this because the information is getting found out by different people. You also have Greg Palast talking about votes thrown away. People from Election Truth Alliance and Greg Palast himself have been going around being interviewed quite a lot. So this has been being talked about now for a few weeks. It's being talked about more and more, and it's because it's real and it's starting to get found out. I can't tell you what is going to happen or what the procedures would be because this is unprecedented. It's kind of a huge stone rolling down the hill, and we can't stop it anymore. I don't know what's going to happen. And it still looks like it's taking time. It's taking more time than we would all like. But in this amount of time, more and more people are turning against Trump. So that by the time we're actually talking about this, starting now, because I'm talking about it now, because I'm starting to realize that I'm not sounding crazy anymore. Nobody wanted to talk about it right after the election. We all knew there was something not right about it, but we were all afraid to talk about it. Why? Because that's part of their plan. That's what they did in 2020. They set it up so that nobody can talk about this anymore. It's different if it's true. And now more and more people are willing to listen to it. And more people are willing to say, yeah, it's not crazy. I see what you're talking about. So by the time in a few weeks from now, or in the coming weeks and months, I'll say, I think America will be able to accept when they hear the truths. Already a lot of the truths coming out about Donald Trump and that, yeah, he really is connected to Project 2025. He really did sign the Alien Enemies Act, and now he's saying he didn't. The more truths we find out about him and Elon Musk and other people, the more people are going to turn against him. When we hear Tom Homan left voice messages on a New York State representative's phone, and he went on CNN and played them. Tom Homan calls him a sand N-word. He says, I hope an illegal puts a bullet through your head. He said, get the F out of my country, blah, blah, blah. That's Tom Homan, the border czar or some stupid thing. All right? The more we start showing what these people are about, these mobsters are about, calling and threatening people and their families, the more we find out about that, the more people will be ready to say, okay, yep, I was wrong, Donald Trump, we got to get rid of him. Here's a funny thing. We went over time, so I'll leave you with this. All Cybertrucks in the United States are being recalled. Thousands. All Cybertrucks are being recalled. You know how many times they've been recalled? They only came out like a year ago. You know how many times they've been recalled? 8 times. They've been recalled 8 times. Now they're being recalled. All Cybertrucks in the country are being recalled because parts just fly off them on the highway. Elon's such a genius. Is it okay to wish bad things for people? Well, if it's Elon Musk, yeah. If it's Tom, is it okay to hate people? If it's Tom Homan, yeah. All right? So, yeah. I wasn't even alive in 1798, so I didn't sign it. All right. Now, if you can bring yourself to go to these, all these different rallies, there are many, many of them. You feel like you're only one person? But you know those pictures where they have a big fish and a bunch of little fish, and then the little fish make a shape like an even bigger fish, and they're chasing the big fish, but it's a bunch of little fish? That's what we knew. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. You're one of those little fish, but you got to show up. I got to show up. We got to do our part. We got to do. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to get news that you might not be hearing in normal places. You're not hearing about Greg Palast and the Election Truth Alliance yet, but mainstream media will be talking about that in the coming weeks and months. That I feel very positive about. I mean, positive like I'm quite sure it's going to happen. It's going to be a wild year still. But can you feel the vibe getting better? I can. I don't know. I can't explain it. It just feels better. The vibration's getting higher. So let's stick together, keep each other sane.
I'm not going to give them my fear.
Listen to AOC. Don't give them your fear. But hear all the other things she's saying. Just go on YouTube and put in, AOC rally. And, I think they're planning on doing more this upcoming week. Tim Walz is out there kicking ass. There are a lot of good things going on. The Democrats are getting stronger. We've got Jasmine Crockett out there too. We're getting stronger. They're getting weaker. They're getting more scared of us. They're going to have to turn against Trump at some point. Like I said, 26 senators voted against a big Doge thing. That's kind of a big deal. Are they starting to band together themselves so that they have the strength, that they're enough little fish to chase the big fish? If the Republicans do the little fish and get in the shape of a big fish bigger than Trump, are they doing that now? I don't know. But I can tell you I'm feeling good. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I'm helping you out a little bit, feel a little better about things. You're making me feel great by watching this show and supporting this show. We actually are getting more views and things. We've got the YouTube channel. Go to my Instagram, @Todd Mikkelson, and go on YouTube and put in a Satellite View podcast, and you can find our channel where we are putting these shows up in their entirety now, where you can, all the clips that I play, you can see the visuals, so you can actually see AOC saying these things. And it's getting exciting. It's getting to be springtime. The timing feels really interesting because as the sun's coming out more and more each day for longer and longer, everything's just starting to feel better. I hope you feel it too. Again, we'll speak at you next week.
You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mikkelson. Go to toddmikkelson.com for links and more information.